Hello, I'm Mark, and it is time to find out what's new with Microsoft Teams and Microsoft 365 for the week 13th to the 20th of March 2021. So we're going to look at some revised timelines. These are a great way to have a recap of what's coming soon. Then we'll go through some of our updates. Then we'll drop into some bite-sized updates, just some little snippets to tell you what's coming soon. Some ones to watch. These are great, some really nice features in there, but they're a little bit further out. I have something to say about Commsverse, but I really need your help with that, so we'll get to that soon. And then we'll have a quick comment on gaming on Xbox, and then we'll remind you how you can keep up. So let's start with some revised timelines. So this Meet Now button in Outlook Teams, I've got this, a lot of us got it. Any of you who haven't, you can look out for this by the end of March. So you probably already have that button, but if you haven't, you should have that any day now. So this revised meeting experience, where instead of the share tray being at the bottom, it pops up to the top right hand side. Also that really prominent include computer sound button, which it's nice to see that coming to the surface a bit. That's now due somewhere between the middle of April and late April. I feel like I've been talking about that one forever. Registration page for Microsoft Meetings. So this is probably more for like your webinar type sessions, but you can look out for that from early April to early May. And this dynamic view for your meetings. So it just means that the content is much more dynamic, and if you're going to meetings all day, you're going to get a different experience depending on the type of meeting it is. So I think it's great from a it just looks better, but from a meeting fatigue point of view, I think that's one to really look forward to. Okay, this change in behaviour for Microsoft Forms. This is that weird thing where if you had a wide open group, say you had like a Microsoft 365 group that the whole company were members of, you had this weird thing where if you had a form that was created in there, anyone could make changes to the form or look at the Excel spreadsheet behind the scenes. So that's just going to be tweaked so that it's only the owners who've got access to that. I know that sounds like it should have always been that way, but it's good to see them plug in those little gaps. This change of hierarchy. So just a reminder, these are referring, this is the same team, but the one at the top is looking at the child sensitivity label, and the one below it is just looking at the parent. So it's just a quick update there, just a reminder that that's coming. That's been pushed back quite a bit, hasn't it? That's looking at May to late June now. Obviously I have no idea why it's been pushed back that far, but I've mentioned that a couple of times. Okay, and this OneDrive for Android, the ability to bookmark your PDFs, that's just been pushed back to next month, so look out for that early to late April. This text predictions in Outlook, so what's the date now, 21st? This is due any time now over the next week or so. You can probably look out for this in Outlook. Okay, so a few more revised timelines. This revised calling experience. So you've heard me say before that the existing one feels like it's been there forever. I'm sure I was using that over 3 years ago. But this is coming out late April. It's just a nice experience. Brings everything in together for your calling, and just makes it easier to return calls, check your voicemail. It's just everything's just in the right place and just one click closer to you. Okay, these modern comments in Word. So that's for Mac. It's been pushed back. So that's for most Mac users. You're going to see that in June. The increase in the interactive members in your meeting. So we've probably been talking about up to 20,000 people in a meeting, but the interactive number is going from 300 to 1,000. So look out for that next month, so early to late April. If any of those delayed features catch your eye, but you want more details and you missed them last time I covered them, if you head over to the website, you can see here I'm just showing you one example. We've got that new meeting experience. If you scroll down, it gives you a nice quick version of it. Then some details, the availability, and I'll make sure that any updates go on there. So if you missed any of those, pop over to the website and then you can get back up to speed. Okay, so Excel for the web, usability enhancements. So I covered a couple of weeks ago some improvements that were happening. So this is for the web only. Now, in the past, the web version of Excel has been a bit clunky, and I've got to be honest, my default action was always to open it in the desktop app. However, it's got a lot better. You can see here I'm just going through some of these enhancements. Now, again, there's a lot more to that, so head over to the website and you'll see a description of each of those. I'll make sure that I put a link in the comments area. But it's available now, so if you haven't used Excel for the web for a while, it's worth you going back. There's a lot of speed improvements as well as functionality. So head over there and have a look at that. Okay, so forms in Teams. So a few weeks ago, this came up, but a couple of improvements. So anonymous guests can they can take part in a poll now, whereas before that, but they couldn't. But also the functionality in the mobile version is improving. So the mobile Teams. So you've got the ability to create them before, during, and after a meeting, but also you can launch it. So if you're the presenter from your phone, you're able to launch those polls now, which you couldn't do before. Okay, so rollout. So from the middle of next month, middle of April, up until the end of April. This looks really nice. So let me just hover over here so you can see if you wanted to change something you're sharing. You're sharing from OneDrive or SharePoint. I apologize for that being abbreviated at the top. So OneDrive and SharePoint we're talking about. So when you're sharing a file, now of course, if you look at the screen there, you could click on this kind of part of the dialog box at the top where this arrow is, and then you could tell you could tell SharePoint or OneDrive what type of share you're about to create, and then you come back to this screen, and then you fill in the details. Okay, so a real common one is the can edit and the can view. So it's a read only. So that's it's bringing those two to the front. Okay, they're probably the most two common actions, and of course their telemetry, Microsoft telemetry, probably tells them that's exactly what most people do. So they've brought that to the front, so it's much easier to select that when you're making a change, or so when you're sharing your file. So rolling out late March, so anytime now up until early April, so over the next 2 or 3 weeks you'd expect to see that. Okay, so focus mode for modern SharePoint pages. This looks really nice actually. So this gives you the ability to focus on a page. So let's just move this on and you'll see how this looks. So you can see there just by clicking one button, it takes us to this view. Let me go back. So there you can see we've got the header at the top, and we've got this new navigation on the left hand side. I talked about that last week or the week before. Let's go forward again, and then you can see that we've got that that much nicer view. Okay, so a couple of things about that. As you navigate around the same site, it keeps that setting, so you need to come out of it if you want to see the heading and the navigation on the left. But as you move around, it will be kept. But as you go to a different site, then you have to reset it if you want to. Okay, so you can look out for this for sometime in May. So it's a little bit further out actually. Maybe I shouldn't have talked about this in such detail just yet. But you can look at early to late May for that feature. Okay, now preventing attendees from sharing a video feed in Microsoft Teams. So it may be that you just don't want people to share their feeds for whatever reason. Maybe you want people to focus on you as the speaker, or just like a client that we work with, they still, despite the fact that it's 2021, they still have such poor bandwidth that they ask people not to use their video too much. So now in advance you can disable people's ability to turn their video on. Okay, so you can do it in the meeting options during a meeting. So you can do it for everybody in the meeting, or you can do it individually. Apologies for the state of that screenshot, by the way. That's a bit fuzzy, isn't it? But you can see there that we can disable individuals, everybody's, or we can do that in advance. And these settings don't affect you if you're the organizer or you're a presenter. Now you can look out for that for late March. So we're talking any time now. You're going to see this over the next couple of weeks. Okay, so let's drop down into some bite-sized updates. So these are still things that are coming soon, but we're just going to give them just a quick one-liner. and when they're approximately due. So your SharePoint, your SharePoint editor, you've got the ability here, just a simplified functionality for multilingual communication in the interface elements. So those, if that applies to you, look out for that sometime in May. So this isn't great, so I'm going to tell you what the screenshot isn't great. I mean, sorry. So SharePoint Classic site usage reports have been moved to a new link. So I'm just going to read that. The popularity and search reports alert. So that's just been pushed down into another location. PowerPoint Live in Teams, slide translation. So here you can see that the end user can choose language for that. Look out for that sometime in April. I'll probably talk about that over the next couple of weeks when more details come out. Okay, so a new release of the Yammer desktop experience. So the existing one is being retired. I don't actually think you can download it anymore, and the new one is available now. There's quite a bit to do with that actually, so look out for that on my blog, or go and find that for yourself. So if you use a desktop experience for Yammer, then it's worth you knowing what's going on with this. So late March for that change. Microsoft Teams supporting outgoing video on Safari, so that's late March. So if you do use the Safari browser, you're going to get that ability coming soon. So customizable website tabs in Microsoft Teams templates. So what this means is, if you are someone who creates Teams, but you use your templates, and then afterwards you create a template and you have to go in and you have to add tabs across the top, and then you need to add web addresses to those, so the website tabs. You could now speak to whoever creates your templates for you, because they can now put those website tabs and get them set up as part of the template, instead of you having to do it afterwards. Okay, so you might not be able to do that yourself, but certainly ask your admin to go in and tweak those templates to add those in advance to save you doing it. Okay, looking a little bit further out now, Teams Connect. So this is great. Super looking forward to this, and I'll talk about this again, no doubt. So this is the ability to share an individual channel in Microsoft Teams. So not the whole team, but just pick one channel and share that with people outside of your team, so the rest of your organization and externally. Okay, and the magic here is, if those people, if you're sharing it with someone externally, they don't have to change their they don't have to change which tenant they're in to see it. It will appear in their view when they're in their own tenant. Okay, so you don't have to change to a different organization. They will see your channel in with all of their channels. So I haven't got a screenshot for it. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but that is super exciting. Okay, so Microsoft Teams, join a meeting by digital code. That's just an easy way to join a meeting. That might be a nice way to share a meeting that's got a lot of people coming to it. Another really nice Teams update is this ability to reply to a specific message, but also as part of your reply, it will tell you what the other person said. So it just keeps it nice and easy to keep track of who's saying what and what exactly you're replying to. So that's due in April, but of course I'll talk about that near at the time. Microsoft Teams, the emojis picker is going from 85 to over 800. It's quite a big change, nearly 10xing that. So expect that in April. I noticed that when I was reading about that, it said there's going to be a lot more of diversity and inclusion in there. So it'd be great to see how that's going to look when that rolls out in April. Another one to watch. So approvals templates. So when you are using Teams and using approvals, so there's going to be some canned templates for you to choose from, and then for you to tweak. Rather than you building it from scratch, you and your colleagues will have these templates to build from. Okay, so SharePoint and Microsoft Teams. So when you paste a link into these, it's going to give you a rich preview of those news articles which are coming from SharePoint. It just means that at a glance you can see the image and some context about it, so some information about the author. So it's going to give you nice previews rather than just the minimal detail that you get now. Just those details, and that's much later in the year. So relatively, that's June. Okay, breakout room timers and room assignment retention. So We're talking about when you set your rooms up, you can set a timer on them. So rather than you having to manually go in and call people back from their meetings, you can set a timer so they automatically get called back. And I'm guessing I'll see a timer as well. But also that room assignment retention means that if you have multiple meetings, you set it up once, and the room setup, so the breakout room setup will be remembered, but also which room people were in. And as the organizer, you can then move. You'll be able to move people between those between the rooms on the fly. Really nice update coming there to breakout rooms, and of course near the time I'll talk about that. Now that's got a date of March on it, so we're getting towards the end of March now. So I'm guessing next week I'll be telling you a bit more about that. Okay, so SharePoint lists and Microsoft lists. So this visualizing with Power BI is just going to make it super easy for you to, without any knowledge, just to see what Power BI could do with the data on there and give you some suggestions. So look out for that in June. Okay, so this is the part where I'm going to ask for your help. So there's this brilliant Teams conference coming up called Commsverse. It's based in the UK. It's at a place called Mercedes World, which even if you've got no interest in Teams, that place is amazing. So if you have any reason to go there, assuming you're interested in cars, that is, the place is amazing. So I'd like to run 2 sessions there. The first one here is for you and your colleagues. This is probably for the sort of people who are rolling teams out or involved in the adoption of it, or you have rolled teams out and maybe your team, people aren't really getting on with it. This would be a great session for you. So I'm going to talk about the top 5 objections to teams, how you can stop them before they even happen, and how to create a supercharged user community with a learning hub in Teams. So here's some of the things I'm going to talk about. So we'll talk about these challenges. People don't understand how Teams fits in. It's just another thing they have to look at. They can't find anything in Teams. They can't keep track of their chats. The notifications are just overwhelming. And then the last thing I'll do there is talk about a learning hub you can create in Teams, and how that just creates this just supercharged user community, and you have to do some work up front with it, but then the community just run with it, and it's amazing how that knowledge just spreads out to their colleagues. Thing is though, I need your vote. Okay, so even if you can't get there in person, this is still for you, because afterwards they'll make the videos of the sessions available, so you don't have to pay. Those are free, so you'll be able to see the session. I'll make sure that I share this with you, but I need your vote for that. I'm going to put a comment in the comments area where you can go and you can vote. Let me just show you the page though, so you can see what this looks like. This is where I'd like to go, and if you'd like to hear that, then I'd like you to just pop over here and give me your vote. So you can see here I've got more details about the session, and if you give me the little thumbs up there, then I'll get the opportunity to speak, and I'll make sure that I share this video with you. The next one is keeping up with Microsoft Teams. Is it a daily problem, or is it an amazing user engagement and content opportunity? So this is what I'm going to talk about how you can keep up, how you can create a dedicated team to keep your colleagues up to date and spark discussions. Then we'll talk about a learning hub, and you create regular posts in there, so it just drip feeds updates to people. You have all the latest updates in one place, an archive of updates. Then we have separate pages for applications, so if you're interested in Teams, and you go there and you can see all of the Teams updates. Then another thing you can do with this is you can present them at meetings, and I'll show you how and what that looks like. And then the other thing you can do with it is create a regular course of it, and I'll tell you how we do that, and how popular it is. That's actually something we do for a very large UK government client. Again, I need your vote, so I won't show you the page again, but have a look at that, pop over, give me a thumbs up, and then you'll be able to see that video when it's done, and I'll make sure I share that with you. And we're starting to wrap up now. If you've got any interest in gaming or Xbox, you'll know that Microsoft bought Bethesda, or the parent company, and as a result of that, 20 Bethesda games have appeared now on Xbox. So you can see them there. There's a number of different versions of the same games, but look in the chat area and I'll make sure that I share a link to that so you can learn more. But if you're into gaming, then that's cool. There's some real nice titles there. Okay, so how do you keep up to date? So if you're a Facebook person, a Twitter person, YouTube, maybe you like LinkedIn, maybe you like podcasts, or you want to go to the blog. I'll show you the blog earlier. If you do a search for Super Simple 365 on any of those platforms, you'll see it. Just a reminder that if you want to get these updates on a regular basis, plus any other things I put out, so I'm going to do a forms course soon if you want to be notified about that, then make sure that you subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and make sure you get those alerts. So however you get your content, hopefully there's a solution there for you. Folks, we're done. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Look out for updates across the week, and I'll see you next week.